Welcome back to our extended coverage of the crisis in the Middle East. Now, Walid Shoebat calls himself a former Muslim terrorist. Now he says he's fighting for the justice of Israel. His new book, Why I Left Jihad, discusses the roots of terrorism and what he describes as a return of radical Islam. He joins us now from Washington. Thank you for joining us. First of all, why did you turn away from being essentially a terrorist?
Well, you have to understand, in the Middle East, everybody is raised on the Holocaust denial. Even Mahmoud Abbas wrote his thesis in his graduation that the Holocaust never existed. So denying the Holocaust was permeating throughout the Middle East. The thing wasn't true. Even though in Germany today, if you deny the Holocaust, you can go to jail. So that's in Germany. Starting looking at real history in America, started studying the history. I took a trip one time to Israel, and in Hebron, I saw this Israeli bus, a Jewish bus, picking the Jewish community. It had wire mesh bars and bulletproof glass, and the Arab community started throwing stones, hurling stones like it was locusts. I mean, it was incredible. And the Jewish community got on the bus and went home, and I asked myself the question. I said, well, why are Arabs allowed to live in Israel proper while Jews are not allowed to live in Palestine proper? Why do we have to evacuate the Jews from Gaza and from the communities there, but the Arabs, over 1 million, are living in Israel proper? This is not right. What's the problem here? So I started understanding that the issue that we wanted to create a Palestine had nothing to do with the state. It has something to do with racism. What we see today, Hamas growing Al-Qaeda-like base entity ruling the Palestinians there, is really Al-Qaeda style rule and government. So the Palestine I've dreamt about has become a psychosis of hysteria, a psychosis of bus bombings, a psychosis of killing Israeli civilians no matter what they are, as long as they're Jews. This is why Nasrallah apologizes to Arabs when they are killed, but he doesn't apologize to Jewish children when they are killed. It has nothing to do with...
All right, let me jump in there if I may. Because obviously, you know, Islamic Jihad and Hezbollah are united in their antipathy towards Israel. But what are the common links, do you think, between Palestinian militia and Hezbollah? What are their common goals? Do they have any common goals?
I think a very good survey, you have to understand, was done by Al Arabiya Network. Very valid survey. Over 73% of the Arabs, 113,000 Arabs were surveyed regarding the establishment of Hamas as the governing body for the Palestinians. 73% of Arabs voted for Hamas to become the governing body. Shia and Sunni divide between Hamas and between Hezbollah. They don't like each other, you know. That's why Saudi Arabia is against Hezbollah, because they're afraid of Iran. Because the Sunni and Shia divide is so strong that they realize if Iran has power, they can take over Saudi Arabia after they took over Iraq. So they really hate each other. They don't like each other. But when it comes to Israel, when it comes to destroying Israel, they will have a temporary unity, if you will, between Hamas. That's why you see the Palestinians carrying a green flag and a yellow flag.
You were jailed by Israel for your beliefs earlier on in your life. Now you've changed your point of view.
I wasn't jailed for my beliefs. I was jailed for my terror activities in Israel. It wasn't for my beliefs.
Okay. All right. Well, your belief in terror activities, then, let's put it that way. But let me ask you, how does it feel now, having been released and having turned a corner? Presumably, you have alienated yourself from much of your family and indeed your brothers.
Well, there are many in Germany alienated themselves and risked their lives to fight Nazism. Somebody has to do the job. Somebody has to move forward from the Arab community and says, no, I think we need to establish a different way of thinking, a different way of life. I cannot go to the prison system in Palestinian areas and try to re-recruit the Palestinian children back into, thinking with level-headedness, because Israel doesn't rule that area anymore. It's all been given over to the Palestinians, and everything's been given by Israel. Gaza, what's happened in Gaza? You have Hamasistan. You have an entirely brainwashed system there that is going beyond our imagination.
All right, we have to leave it there. We're out of time. Walid Shoebat in Washington, D.C. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Hala.